we are up to chapter 19. Goodbye, Lucy. Hello friends, welcome back to Riverwood Cabin. I'm Rosie Boom and I'm reading to you from Where Lions Roar at Night, written by me, Rosie Boom. And we are up to chapter 19. Goodbye, Lucy. The days were definitely getting colder and shorter now. Even Jake was wearing his green thermals each night. All along the drive and down the road, the liquid amber trees continued their extravagant show of colour. At sunset, they glowed a deep fiery red and reminded Millie of all the bonfires that had burned for days during their big clean-up of the land. Mum said the trees in their autumn colours reminded her of the pillar of fire that led Moses and the Israelites at night. Millie looked out across the front paddock and caught sight of two bedraggled dogs coming towards her. Mum was not going to be happy. They were covered in mud and had bits of sticky weeds all through their fur. "Come here," she called in a stern voice. Lucy began to trot towards her. Angel followed her slowly. She looked stiff and sore. "You silly dogs," scolded Millie. Angel looked up at her and gave her a strange, lopsided smile. Lucy began lapping furiously at the water bowl on the porch. Angel put her head down but didn't drink. Millie watched as she ran around the bowl and then scratched desperately at her nose. "What's the matter, girl?" Angel stared up at her with sad eyes and then started clawing again at her mouth. "Mum!" Millie yelled. "Something's wrong with Angel." Mum came out onto the porch and groaned when she saw them. "Not again. I'm getting fed up with their wandering ways." She bent down and stroked Angel's head. "What's wrong, girl?" Angel shook her head a few times as if she was trying to get rid of a bee buzzing by her ear, and then she scratched at her nose. "Something's bothering her in her mouth, I think." Millie nodded. "She wants to have a drink, but she can't." Mum gently took Angel's nose in her hands and prized her jaws open. "Good grief! She's got a big piece of wood stuck right across the very back of her mouth. It looks like it's stuck between the teeth at both sides. Hold her for me, Millie. I'll try and get it out." But Millie didn't even need to hold her. Angel stayed very still, as if she knew Mum was trying to help her. The next minute, Mum pulled out a long piece of wood and held it up proudly. Angel plunged her nose into the water bowl and drank and drank and drank. That night at dinner, Dad made an announcement. "I'm afraid one of the dogs has to go." All the kids stared at Dad in horror. He looked at all their stricken faces and then continued. "We can't have them traipsing off who knows where every day. They only do it because there's the two of them." "But Dad," wailed Millie, "we can't sell Lucy." "Or Angel," cried Sam and Jake. "I'm sorry," said Dad in a decisive voice, "but one or the other of them is going to have to be sold." Everybody felt subdued that night. Both the dogs seemed to know their fate was uncertain and cuddled up to the children. "Oh, we can't sell Angel," said Ellie to Mum. "She loves us. If any of us get hurt, Angel is the first one there to comfort us." "And she smiles at us all the time," added Jake. Mum fondled Angel's ears. I love the way she comes into our room every morning as soon as she thinks Dad and I are awake. She stands by our bed for a moment to make sure that we are awake and then jumps up onto the bed, puts her head and front paws on my tummy and smiles good morning. She gave Angel another rub around her ears. But if Dad and I play possum and pretend we're still asleep, she tiptoes out again and waits until later. Don't you, girl? Angel loved all the attention. She gazed up at them with her amber eyes. Millie loved her eyes. She had black hair around them that looked like she'd got all doozied up with black eyeliner. Her face was normally very hairy, and Mum often called her Fluffy Face. What about the way she gets one of our teddies or one of Dad's shoes and cuddles them when we're away? Laughed Millie. But we can't sell Lucy, said Josiah. Look at her. Lucy had plonked herself down in front of the sofa and was waving her little paws in the air. She's begging for her life. Hardly her life, corrected Dad. We'll find her a good home. The discussion went on for quite a while longer, but at the end of the day, there wasn't really any question about which dog had to go. The whole family agreed that if they had to sell one, it would have to be Lucy. There was no way they could part with Angel. So Mum put up a very cute photo of Lucy begging on Trade Me, and within a few hours they had lots of people wanting to buy her. Millie felt like a traitor when she invited Lucy to come for a ride in the car a few days later. She jumped in, excited to be joining the family outing. She didn't know that her new owner was going to meet them in the next town, but Millie did. What if the lady didn't like her? What if Lucy didn't like the lady? What if she missed all the kids and Angel so much that she got sick? But Millie didn't need to worry. When the lady saw her, she said, "Oh, you are a pretty little thing, aren't you?" And Lucy wagged her tail excitedly and went to her without hesitation. The kids waved goodbye to her as she drove off in her new owner's car, peering out the window, looking as happy as could be. Millie wondered if she'd missed them at all. That afternoon, Angel stayed close by and didn't go rabbit hunting. And when Dad asked the children to help him move the bulls after dinner, she trotted happily alongside. "Millie, you and Mum go behind them and chase them up the drive when I tell you to," said Dad. "Jake and Ellie, you come with me." They set off up the driveway to open the gates and make sure the bulls didn't go too far down the drive. When they heard Dad's whistle, Mum opened the gate and Millie chased the bulls out of their old paddock. They were excited to be out, and some jostled and bunted each other, while others ran to the long grass on the side of the driveway and started eating. "Push them up," called Dad. Millie waved her stick and shouted, "Ha! Ha!" The bulls swung their big heads around to look at her and then trotted off down the driveway, snorting and bellowing. When they came around the corner, Millie looked down the drive and laughed out loud. Standing in the middle of the driveway was Jake. His blue satin boxer shorts pulled high up around his tummy and his skinny legs sticking out below them like two chicken legs. He looked so little and scrawny. Dad had positioned him there to stop the bulls going any further, but he looked like he couldn't stop a butterfly. Millie watched the 10 snorting black bulls trot towards him. Jacob began jumping up and down and flapping his arms in the air. He looked like a chicken trying to fly. The bulls stopped in front of him and stared at him for a long moment, their breath puffing from their nostrils. Then they turned and obediently went through the gate that was standing open just before him. "David and Goliath!" yelled Millie to Jake. "That's what you look like? But I bet David didn't face Goliath in his boxers."